Talking Reds, happy Wednesday. We are not live today. I had a few technical issues, so we're going the old-fashioned way, but just as exciting. And I'm joined by Neil Atkinson, by Andy Heaton. I'm John Gibbons, and I haven't said that. And we're here to talk about all the latest things going on with Liverpool. We're going to look ahead to the Sparta Prague game on part 2. But first of all, Neil, I wanted to get a little bit more into the Michael Edwards stuff that was announced yesterday, because the news started coming out in the morning that it was all agreed. We did a reaction show, and then, funnily enough, in the reaction show, you were like, well, he's not going to tell us what our job is. And then he sort of did. Yeah. They did a statement, FSG did a statement which, you know, suggests that the role, if you like, is sort of very much with them. Where Mike Gordon talked about how made up he was to get Michael Edwards back, talked about how smart and brilliant he was and all of that. And then Michael Edwards talked about the role, and within there a couple of interesting things jumped out, because, you know, he's talked about the fact in the recent past that, you know, he needed a sort of new challenge. The idea of going back to being a sporting director sort of didn't excite him, and he's talked about, you know, why he has come back and this role, and what's particularly exciting him, but less so some Liverpool fans, is this idea of FSG buying another football club.
Yeah, you know, I think that we're yet to see genuine sort of proof in a practical sense the multi-club model works, but I think also there's a body of evidence that going in and effectively making one football club secondary to another one is not good for the existing culture of the initial football club. That can be the case in the short term, it can be the case in the medium term, and it can, and I think it will prove to be the case in a number of different places in the long term. I want to be clear about this. I'm very much of the view, you and I have talked about this a lot, John, on shows and away from them, that we cannot have the view that Liverpool can continually be, and I do put this emphatically in inverted commas, the goodies on every issue. That's not possible. There's lots of things where I think there's things that are maybe in football's interest, may not be in wider football's interests, that are in Liverpool's interests. You know, I can see the argument in all directions for the 3 p.m. blackout. But I do think it is worth acknowledging that the idea that LFC TV can't screen games at 3 o'clock leaves money on the table for Liverpool. So the idea that Liverpool could never do that, you know, when we know that Liverpool's fan base, both in this country but also in the wider world, would pay more money, I think is a negative for Liverpool Football Club and a negative for the city of Liverpool, and that would open up well more media jobs in the city of Liverpool, and that money is left on the table. And that's not even ever discussed now as a possibility, if you see what I mean. And I'd love Liverpool to open that conversation off the basis of, hang on, you know, there's loads of ways we talk, you know, in a political sense, rebalancing's talked about in this country. You want to get more young people media opportunities in the city of Liverpool. Well, let's make Liverpool TV stronger. How do we do that? Well, we start screening games. When could we do that? The 3 p.m s. My point here is that Liverpool can go and have that argument, and I'd go, you know what, I'm with you inside of the city, the club, and could it actually damage the fabric of football in the long term? You know what, it might do, but ultimately, you know, we've got to look after ourselves a little bit.
Yeah.
The multi-club, so I want to be clear about that. That's what I mean. Like, I think that Liverpool do need to pick the battles. We can't be against...
And as fans, we need to pick our battles.
And we need to pick our battles as fans as well, yeah. And we can't be against everything, and also not all bits of potential progress are bad. There is not yet, that I can see, and by all means, if anyone at Liverpool or anyone else wants to send me one, a positive set of examples of multi-club ownership being great for everyone.
Yeah.
I can't see it anywhere.
It's certainly not the only way, and this is what... I've sort of read the statement properly sort of last night. I had it this morning. There's one line in there where Michael Edwards says, I believe that to remain competitive, investment and expansion of the current football portfolio is necessary. And I'm just not sure that's true.
No, nor am I. No, nor am I. And I think that genuinely is it, where I'm like, I'm not sure that necessarily stands up in terms of your resource and your time. Now, it might be a direction of travel, but just because it's a direction of travel doesn't make it the right one.
Yeah.
And, you know, within that, I've had conversations in the past with a number of different people. You can make an argument that one of the best things you could do for League One and League Two clubs is to have really smartly done sort of intuitive partnerships with Premier League clubs with setups, that there's a way to do that. And there is, but there's only a way to do that, I'd argue, in a heavily regulated universe. And as another news story came out yesterday, fucking hell, we're a long way away from one of them, where the Premier League's and its relationships with the other divisions are concerned. And I'm always just a little bit suspicious of, if you can't beat them, join them. I also think it's exceptionally difficult in a climate where the current manager, and it's less so a motto around the club these days, but you don't get to go, this means more, if the logical extension is you're possibly going to end up rocking up somewhere else and going, this means less. You know, that's not a straight cultural line all the way through.
Yeah.
And so it does leave, you know, for me, it genuinely does leave a bad taste in the mouth. But also, I just don't know if it's entirely practical. And as I say, there's loads of areas where I'm absolutely fine. You know, in the same way that in the rounds, I just think they fucked it up. I was absolutely fine with John Henry wanting to lead on what was termed Project Big Picture. In that, I do think that there is an argument that Liverpool and Manchester United should do some degree of leading the way where football in this country is concerned. I just think don't do it badly and consult with more people as you go. And what they've done now and managed to do is ruin that for themselves, I think, for 5 or 10 years with the Super League and so on. But that's your fault. If you'd have done that better in the first place, genuinely, you'd have had my full support. I've got an argument about this, not just where this is concerned, but any form of football reform. Just imagine, could Rory Smith argue for it on Monday Night Club with Chris Sutton? Because if he can, it's in the realm of something people can get behind. If he can't, then you're in this situation where, you know, you never want to lose an argument to Chris Sutton, and I never have. So, you know, I think that on the whole, this is where genuinely, and we're never going. And again, I mean, he might do another statement today, but we're never going to get to see the working. If you know what I mean, I know, by the way, does he necessarily have to show the work? And I don't mean that for a second, but I think that this is the sort of thing that, for a number of Liverpool supporters, and not all of them, you know, and we certainly are not representative, but for a number of Liverpool supporters, I think the multi-club ownership point will stick in the craw. Now, there might be that Liverpool have got a really good, enlightened plan as to how they're going to do it. Michael Edwards might have that. We know he's very much forward-thinking. But at the statement that we saw, that's the sort of thing that I go, just not convinced, mate.
Yeah, there's different reasons, Andy, for owners to want to own more than one football club. And it's funny, I went to a football finance thing a couple of weeks ago that I referenced a few times, and one of the big discussion points of the day, the things to come out of it was multi-club ownership. And there was multi-club owners on the stage and different ones, and they had a variety of reasons to do it. Like, some of them were just investors who were basically saying, if you invest in 4 things and one of them goes tits up, basically, then the other 3 will sort of carry you through. So it's more of a kind of, no, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but just think about what that actually means practically.
Well, from a footballing point of view, it's sort of, I don't, he didn't quite say tits up.
I know,
basically,
but it's one goes a bit wrong.
For some investors, it's about diversifying investment. So it's sort of as simple as that. They're not doing it for a competitive sort of reasons, really. It's more just, you know, it's instead of throwing all your money on one company's shares, you know, spreading them around sort of 7, 8. For some of them is that. Some of them are just sort of ended up doing it by accident. So it was like, I never really meant to, but sort of here I am. Others were like, I just found I really liked owning football clubs, and so I bought another one and somewhere else, and it's just good. And that's the thing. But then there are others who are trying to get a competitive advantage for the daddy football club, if you want, or the senior one, by owning some others and using those football clubs to, you know, as player farms or sort of whatever it is, or ways around it. And that's the one I sort of feel is sort of the most uncomfortable with, if you like. And this is the one that, seemingly from the statement, that they are going down.
Yeah, I kind of think, given the relationship between the clubs, that they haven't looked at the Rebel project in Salzburg.
Completely agree.
Now, before we get into this, I'm with you. I'm against it. Playing devil's advocate, I think they've looked at that. I mean, I found it funny that in the reportage over the last couple of days with Michael Edwards coming back, Leipzig's referenced in regards to how they designed the AXA.
Yeah.
That Edwards had gone over there, looked at how they do things, and they've kind of replicated that. You know, we bought some players from them as well. And maybe they're looking at, you know, we talk about this new generation, that the story last week, the gold mine at the academy. You know, and maybe they're looking at, if they had a second club, they could do even more of that, or give players in the 19s to 20s to 21s more opportunities abroad, within the umbrella of whatever it is.
Weeks suggested that they were all right.
No. I mean,
like,
yeah.
Is Jane Dan's going to be? Would Jane Dan's be a better player now? I know, you know, you're not arguing it, but like, this is what makes me sort of, when you know, Michael Edwards is saying here it's necessary, I'm like, well, you know, like we seem to be doing all right, you know what I mean? Like, we're towards the top of the league, we're playing sort of really well, and also all these young players. Like, would Jane Dan's be a better player now if he played last year in Belgium?
But then Conor Bradley goes on loan.
Well, no, we use the existing loan system then.
Yeah, no, I know, but maybe if he wants to keep that in-house, I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not trying to justify it. I'm trying to think of the reasons why they might think this is the way to go. And also from a sustainability model, they'll be thinking, right, okay, so if we can get these players here, send them to Club B, whatever it is. Let's just compare it to Leipzig and Salzburg. You know, Salzburg can pick up players, and if they turn out to be really, really good, and they like them, Leipzig will go, we'll have a bit of him. Or if they don't make that standard, they can go, okay, well, we'll get rid of them for a profit anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not agreeing with it. But I can't help, given how closely aligned, how close the clubs are, and how there seems to be a symbiotic relationship between the two over the last couple of years anyway, they haven't looked at that and gone. And it was interesting, good. The line in Edwards is, there was a quote from Edwards where he was saying, football's changed greatly or massively in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I think you've said yourself, and maybe I'm missing something that's there. And you look at Jim Radcliffe with Nice and Sunday's involved with Man United, and it does seem to be a trend now. We all look at you go back 15, 20 years with the Southern American ownerships of British clubs. They were all gambling on the TV money, and in the end, it turned out they were right. But initially, there were casualties, us being one of them. Let's have it right. Hicks and Gillette bought the club because they forecasted that the TV revenues were going to go bang, and they did. They just didn't have enough oxygen in them to stay above water until it came in. So I don't know. Maybe put it this way: it's a big carrot if they're not serious about it. If they wanted Edwards that much, that they've gone right. Okay, well you come here and you tell us what you want to do, and we'll let you do it.
I think they are serious about it, but I think that, and I can understand how you can talk yourself into it.
I wasn't talking myself into it, by the way.
No, but I understand that anyone can talk themselves into it, and also I'm not saying it's necessarily bad from the, as I say, I'm not seeing a ton of success stories at this point, and it might be that people within football are going, well, that shows what you know, because in 3 years, we can already see that the success stories, because we're embedded in this and we get the information and you don't, and in 3 years there'll be fruit to this that will then become crystal clear to the public in a number of different ways, some of which, by the way, might be beneficial to what could be called the junior clubs, and there's Girona chat at the minute, I want to sort of park them, but, there's a weird journey that's gone on there around City Football Group, and it might well be that genuinely, what we see, what someone like Michael Edwards gets to see is something that we don't get to see at the minute because it's shrouded, and then in 2-3 years' time you'll see something else. But you still get to have a conversation about whether or not it's inherently good.
Well, 777 showing to be.
Well, there's the Potzos as well, the 77, 777. I'm never quite sure what one to call them. But I just think in general, you end up, if you're not careful, like it might be that it is the smart, slightly more expedient move. But then I get to say, but at what cost? Like it's a separate cost, a non-financial cost, a cultural cost possibly to Liverpool, a cost to the clubs themselves that you're looking at. I think that anything that they're thinking of, and I think that they will want to do it in inverted commas the right way. I just sort of wonder if it's the right way possible. And it might be that it ends up happening and we go through and in 10 years' time people can play this back and go, you know what, Echo, there was the right way because they went and did it the right way. And there's this and this and this as evidence for it. I think that the other thing to point out is it's yet another area, and this is where, to the Edwards point, where there's grave regulatory failure by FIFA, UEFA, football associations, Premier Leagues, and extensively sort of by the clubs themselves and governments around all of this. You can then make the argument of, well, if that regulatory failure already exists, then why shouldn't Liverpool also get to benefit from it? And if that's an argument that you want to make, that's absolutely fine. Just don't tell me this means more.
Yeah, and as I say, as fans, we do all sort of draw our line somewhere, and that will all be different. And there'll be Liverpool fans listening to this, thinking, well, I'm not bothered. I just want Liverpool to win, and that's sort of their position. Or if it doesn't sort of directly affect us, and our sort of culture, then they're prepared to be sort of relaxed about it. But then there'll be other people who just doesn't sort of sit right with it all. And it is where your sort of line is, and like Neil said before, you do have to sort of make these barters with yourself a lot of the time. Well, some of us, some people are just, zero tolerance to everything. I did enjoy Carl Cobback yesterday, getting a cob on that they sold nachos in the main stand. Like that's it. I mean, he enjoys. He plays
that's
up
a red
to
line.
The
It's a red line.
He plays up to the miserable old man. But that's it. I mean, I'd say I moved past that.
If he wants to keep it real, come the lower centenary.
You can't even get there, lad.
All I'm saying is wait till he gets in the new Annie Road.
That's living all right. Liverpool's fourth best restaurant.
No, I come with it. Have you seen the beer circles?
No, go on.
So the upper Annie, now you go in, and normally when you walk in, there's concourse and the bars are all on the side.
Yeah.
So they've got all that, and in every 40, 50 yards, you've got these massive islands where they serve ale. and you get saved about 5 seconds. Progress.
See, there is some positives to modern football. There you are. And you can't have it all. You can't have your cake and eat it. But this one,
but you can have a beer in 5 seconds.
But you can't have a beer in 5 seconds.
You can have a beer and drink it.
So there we are. Okay, just want to move on to a couple of other things. We're going to talk about Sparta Prague a little bit and what we do. Loads more previews of that, of course, coming up on the Anfield Wrap Day. Do check out our reaction shows yesterday. The first of which, was a little bit sort of out of date after the statement, but lots of people still said enjoying it. Also, I spoke to Mel Verdi about how basically over the last 2 weeks sort of what's happened, and that was a really interesting chat. Mel Verdi, of course, Chief Football Reporter at Sky Sports, so it was very nice of her to come on. But loads of previews today. But other things I'm looking forward to in the world of media, and I'm coming on to this for a point. Channel 5 are brilliant at what they do. They're excellent. They know the market, and they're really good at turning around stuff really fast. And they have somehow this weekend got a documentary on the Willy Wonka thing that happened in Glasgow.
Incredible.
They've got a documentary going out on it on Saturday night. For people overseas who maybe haven't sort of seen this story, there's a reasonable line in this country, a reasonable grift to be had in setting up things and getting families to come down, pretend that it's going to be brilliant, and then they turn up and it's rubbish. It's normally a Christmas thing. These Winter Wonderland things.
Oh, goodness.
Have been happening for a while. There's AI issues all over this because AI is going to allow people to make out that things are going to be sort of spectacular, and then you go in. It was in Glasgow. It was all brilliant. It happened about 3 weeks ago, and Channel 5 have got a documentary coming out about it on Saturday, and basically everyone in the world will watch it. And how I'm coming on to, Neil, is with the ability of something like NordVPN, the fastest VPN service in the world. You can do that, and I basically forget about the footy for the weekend. Everyone around the world needs to watch Channel 5 on Saturday night.
There you go. Absolutely spot on, and you really do need to get into this. By the way, I hope to God they've got the actor. I hope to God they must have the actor, but I hope they've got the actor.
I think they'll have some of the actors. I think they'll have some disappointed families. I want to see compo faces all over the
everywhere.
The girl who was in Oompa she's running a cameo now already, and she's killing it.
There we are. She's definitely on it then. Fair play to her. I'm genuinely fair play to her.
I think some of the actors have sort of seen this opportunity. But like I say, fair play to Channel 5. You know exactly who their market is.
Which is now actually the world.
Thanks to me, they're going to be like absolutely chocker with the numbers. So basically, one of the benefits of a VPN service, as well as all the security and peace of mind it offers you, it allows you to watch television in other countries by switching a couple of things online. And so I would encourage everyone. All the FA Cup stuff's on terrestrial television this weekend as well, so you could watch that as well.
Fuck that off.
Do you want to know what else on Channel 5?
Go on.
Remember when that block of flats collapsed onto my house?
Yeah.
That was on Channel 5. I was interviewed in my house, in my garden.
They know what they're about.
There you go.
Of course he was.
They know what they're all about. Absolutely. So yeah. Also, we're going over to the US for a week, which I'm really looking forward to the tours. So I'm going to be catching up on my Channel 5 with my NordVPN. What about that? Is there any telly you're going to catch up on while we're away, or are you going to happy to hang on till you get back?
I'm going to have to hang on till we get back. I can't. I don't think I've got that sort of level of place-to-place technical capability in me yet. That's not Nord's fault. That's very much user error.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you are in America, we are really looking forward to coming out to see you. If I have to nip off halfway through to watch Neighbours, you will understand why, because I'm able to do so with the benefits of my NordVPN. But thanks a lot for partnering with them. They are that confident that you will enjoy the service and get a 30-day money-back guarantee. So it's NordVPN/TAW, NordVPN/TAW if you want to enjoy their service. And like I say, they'll give you that 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't enjoy it. They're that confident. On to Sparta then, Andy. He's got the ability now to really rest. I mean, it's not quite as easy as what sometimes people make out, because there's the squads that you need to register, and obviously there's the youth players that you can sort of add to that. But he is in a position to rotate, and despite the fact that last week we were always like, oh, he's going to rotate a lot, and it didn't quite as much. I think this is surely the one where he does go, okay, well, you know, who needs games, who needs a rest, who am I able to sort of pull out, who am I able to prioritise for Sunday, or maybe just give a night off because it's nice to be able to do it.
Yeah, well, you say play the kids, but I mean, what kids are we talking about now?
Because there's the ones he's been playing.
Because the ones he's been playing. Are we down in Kirby, like getting caps for like some 13-year-olds?
This is more kids.
You know what I mean? Just more kids. No, I don't. Look, the results. I think it's ideal. I mean, the game should be safe unless something absolutely wild happens. So it'll be a good one. I saw Verge wasn't in training yesterday, but the line was he's just recovering. It's fine. So yeah, I think the analytics guys will be looking at it and feeding Jürgen information. This player could do it in 0 minutes. This player could be doing with more. Players come back in, bit of rhythm. It wouldn't surprise me to see Mo start, to be honest.
That's not bad.
It wouldn't surprise me to see A, because he want to play, and B, just to keep him ticking over a little bit. And he'll want to score goals,
Well,
which is his favourite thing in the world.
Didn't he? Apart from his excellent first 2 minutes after that.
Yeah,
but
he did get kicked. He got walloped in the midfield. He got walloped in the centre, which the referee didn't see. But it is what it is. No, I'm excited. I think it's. What I love about these games as well is the crowd, because invariably with these things, there's lots of Spurs floating around.
Yeah,
so tomorrow will be a lot of kids will be going to Anfield tomorrow.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I think, for the first game. I love all that, and you see it coming in and coming out, and some kids in the ground, kids in the stands, great. But no, we should be all right. I don't think he'll completely throw the baby out the bathwater with the lineup. Obviously, centre half's going to be interesting, because if Verge wasn't training, you'd kind of guess he's not going to play. So then you've got Kwanzaa, and then who is Gomez maybe, and little move rounds. Yeah. I don't know. I think they'll be all right. I'm just curious what he's going to do with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think there's a few little bits that I think he might do. So, there'll be. I think he's going to just keep playing Bradley. I think he wants Bradley to get time on the football pitch. So I think he's going to keep getting halves or 40 or 60s, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And so I think that just sort of continues. He's got 2 moves at left back, as neither of the left backs started against City in there. I think you can make a clear case for Gakpo to start. You could 45-45 Salah and Nunez in it, conceivably, and there's an argument around that. I think you can, depending on the concussion question, you could therefore also start Dan's through the middle. I wouldn't be having this be Luis Diaz's business at all, given the amount of graft he's putting in at the minute.
Or Elliott.
I think you've got to now sort of have the same thing for Elliott, but I think there's nothing wrong with, for instance, 60 for Szoboszlai. Then you're looking at McConnell and Clark, who are both worthy of getting another go in there as well. And I've sort of just got a bit of a team there, if you see what I mean, as we've gone through, with him then having, a couple of options from the bench. I think centre-half is actually, ironically, the toughest. What nick is Konate in? Is Konate just now, not until the other side of the international break? If that's the case, then there is a little bit of a thing where, do you want to sort of force Gomez to put another big stint in, or do you just sort of think, well, he's playing centre-half against these, he can play within himself?
He doesn't have to play Sunday either, if you don't want him to.
No, you could decide to, but then you are at the point where, listen, Kwanzaa's a young lad and I'm sure he's delighted to keep playing football, but you're putting a fair bit of load on Kwanzaa.
On Konate, though, just from the training footage yesterday, he was out on the grass running, and I'm guessing, but I would think if you had absolutely no chance for Sunday, you'd be in the gym.
Yeah. Well, so there might be a case of, you're asking, Quanta and Gomez to go for this one, and then
do the 90 for this one, and then
you think you'll probably have Konate and Virgil for Sunday.
Exactly, and you do it that way around. And I think that the good thing about Sunday, all in, is just that because there is the international break afterwards, he can sort of, up to a point, do what he likes, and the player, and I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And I think it's, I think that's a nice fixture timing for us.
Listen, loads more previewing this game on the Anfield Wrap. So the press conference is at 1 p.m. today. Straight after that, we'll be filming the Team Talk, which is our video reaction show to that. We've also today got pretty much warm-up. Going out, there'll be press conference extra, which Neil is on, and Andy hosts.
I'm not on it today.
Oh, you're not?
No.
You've been jibbed again.
Yeah, well, Andy's upset.
Jibbed again.
Jilted.
Then it'll be even better. What a show you have. I was only kicking at 80%, pushing that now, but now it's like the Wonka thing, you can't miss it. Make sure you're sort of getting on that later. And obviously tomorrow, post-match reaction, audio and video from around the ground after the game as well. And then looking ahead to Sunday, loads of exciting stuff ahead of an FA Cup game against Old Trafford. Basically, it's a great time to subscribe to the Anfield Wrap. It's a great time to download the app, so make sure you're doing that. And we will see you in America next week. If you are coming out to see us, Boston, we need you to come out as well. You're the only one lagging at the moment. 3 of them have sold out. The other 2 close to selling out as well. Boston, pull your fingers out. If you're in the area, do come out and see us. That'd be fantastic. And then we've got also, I will give a shout out as well to our end of season party, which is the night before the last game. It's Saturday the 18th. We are at Mountford Hall at the university, which we've had some fantastic parties at over the years, and we think this one is going to be as well. That one's selling really well as well, so I wouldn't drag your heels too much on that one. I think we're about 70% tickets sold for that tour. Hurry up. Is that everything?
That is everything.
Excellent. Up to beds. Have a lovely day. Nice one to join for filming.